HORNER and HORNER came out a couple of days ago in StarCraft 2, and I've been spending quite a bit of time leveling them up to the maximum level. Now, while doing so, I tried a wide variety of strategies, and while of course this is co-op, and indeed many different strategies are viable, today in this video I want to give you a guide on the one strategy that I found to be most efficient. Now, I'm recording this rather early in the morning, and not a lot of people are currently online. However, Elaser, one of the best Zerg players on the planet, decided that he would be up for a game. Alrighty, so here we are. We're playing Lock and Load on the brutal difficulty.
Our plans to enter the Void are in jeopardy. Amon intends to destroy Ulnar by overloading its celestial locks. Activating all 5 locks is your objective. Units from both of your armies must stand together near a lock to activate it.
Alrighty, so I've grouped up together, by the way, with a level 1 Stukov. Now, Elaser is a professional gamer, so I'm sure he can figure it out. Now, regardless, in the earlier part of the game, we have 2 priorities when it comes to playing HORNER and HORNER. First and foremost, we want to be getting ourselves up all of these 5 Assault Galleons that we can get at the very most, as well as our economy. Now, the Assault Galleons can be upgraded to essentially become what is like a Terran carrier, and that is going to be my top priority. I want to build up that economy, and I want to get the 5 Assault Galleons out with their upgrades as soon as I possibly can. Afterwards, I want to be getting a couple of my engineering bay upgrades, as well as all 10 of the precision strikes, and eventually, once we get to the late game, is when I'm switching towards the Starport base units as well. I may oftentimes get a single Raven a little bit earlier on into the game, depending on what map we're playing, but most of the time your late game army is going to be based around all of these Starport based units. Now, depending on who you're playing with, it may take a little bit of time to figure out exactly what's going on, but most of the time the game doesn't really last long enough to really get to the mass Stargate or Starport based army here instead. So usually, I am just simply going to be adding on a couple of Reapers to knock down the rocks a little bit faster. Of course, depending on what map you're playing, you may not be able to get your expansions nearly as quickly as we are right here. But most of the time, you're going to be able to adjust just fine. Now, of course, I do have all of the 15 upgrades available as well, which means that my supply depots will give me double supply. But if you need to, you can go ahead and add on another supply depot just a little bit faster. Now, since I want to be upgrading my Assault Galleons, I need to get myself a whole lot of gas here as well, because I need to get myself 5 of these drone hangars, and you can see they're 200 gas each, plus we need a fusion core as well, which isn't particularly cheap here either. Next up, I'm going to be getting myself another Assault Galleon. Essentially, I'm just continuously building SCVs, while also making sure that I'm going to be in a decent economical position, and I'm, you know, getting all of the early game defenses dealt with as well. Next up, I'm going to be getting myself an armory, so we can start getting up towards that beautiful fusion core tech. And as far as the mines go here in the earlier part of the game, I'm just simply throwing them out at seemingly random locations, so they're spread out and they can deal with different kinds of enemies here as well. So my expansion has indeed finished up. SCV can go back to mining. And from here on out, we're going to start continuing double SCVs here at every given moment. And we're just simply trying to build up as much here as we possibly can, while also focusing on those Assault Galleons. Armory will be finishing up in just a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. And as soon as I can, I want to be building up my drone hangar. So with that, of course, since I'm going to need a ton of gas, and that's essentially what's going to carry me to the late game, I'm going to be starting up my refineries really quite early on here as well. Apparently, we're going up against Zerg. So you can see right there the mines being a little bit funny. That's okay. My units are going to do just fine. I need to target fire down these units here first. But here we go.
Send my forces to establish control.
Let's go ahead and get ourselves the fusion core started. And by the way, of course, these Assault Galleons are also the units that are primarily producing all of our stuff. If I need to, however, I can just simply go ahead and throw up the space station reallocation right there in the earlier part of the game to shove units down. And even though it's a long cooldown, I found that using it early is pretty much always the correct way to do. Or the correct way to go, rather. So let's go ahead and hang out right here at the objective point for a little while. We should go ahead and hang out right over there. Let's go ahead and saturate the gases over there too, and I'm continuously building up more and more SCVs. Next up, I'm going to be getting myself another one of these supply depots, and I'm slowly adding on more and more Assault Galleons. Not really rushing them out necessarily, prioritizing economy over everything else, but eventually we do want to get to a point where I get all 5 of them running without really spending too many minerals here on any units on the ground, because usually they will just end up dying anyway. Now my fusion core is done. That means that I can go ahead and get the very first drone hangar installed. And it really is more or less like a carrier, okay? I would like to go and settle on the name Terrier. I think that Terran carrier. Terrier makes a lot of sense. It does make them so very powerful, and I think it's definitely the correct way to go. Apparently there's some cloak units. I guess those are some fire bets. We'll just simply bait them towards our mines here. And we're slow pushing our way through this. So early on, I'm really focused on economy, right? And it may sound a little bit silly, but if you get it early on, your late game army is going to be so much more powerful. And since you don't really have to worry, this works out usually just fine. There we go. Let's go ahead and send in the Call in the Fleet. I do have some mastery points on that one actually installed as well to make this just a little bit more powerful. But here we go. My drone hangar is done, and look at it. Isn't that precisely like a carrier? It is. It is exactly a carrier. It's literally exactly it. Let's go ahead and install some mines over there just to defend that position a little while longer here as well. We've already got ourselves 3 of the Assault Galleons right now. I'm producing 2 more. So that means that right now we're going to be able to transition towards the next stage of our plan. And that is going to be the upgrades right here in the engineering bay. So at this point, right, whenever I'm like soaking up more and more minerals, I'm either going to get myself supply depots, or I'm going to be getting myself some of these Hellions and Hellbats. Depending on what we're going up against, I'm going to be getting those. Now, in this particular case, apparently we're up against cloak units, like, for example, that Lurker. I'll be getting myself a Raven, which I would recommend most of the time here anyway. Raven's very, very powerful. It may even be worth getting the upgrade right here as well in the tech lab. Usually, though, having a single Raven out is going to make things way easier. Even though it's pretty gas-heavy early on, we should be in a good position. All right, next up, our top priority is to go ahead and get 10 of these precision strikes ready to go. The 10 precision strikes are great. Where did my Raven go? Raven. Did I accidentally send you away? I may have. Oh no, there it is. Okay, fair enough. The next priority is going to be to get 10 of those upgrades ready to go right there as well. And they are very, very good. They're 100 gas each. They also cost a solid amount of supply, so you do want to make sure that you get yourself a bunch of supply depots. And I'm continuously upgrading right here out of that single armory that I've got as well, by the way, which I found to be very, very nice. So in the earlier part of the game, we're playing this rather slowly. However, over time, we're going to be better. Over time, we're going to get stronger. Now, I think that the laser is actually currently still trying to figure out as well how to play Stukov. It's all right. We'll be able to pull our weight just fine. So there we go. Getting more and more of those things up, and that activates right there the second ability at the top. Now that we have a Raven available as well, I can just simply start raining these things down, and I would recommend sending them in whenever you can, because they're only on a minute-long cooldown, and you get 10 of them. You can indeed lock onto targets as well if you need to. But there we go. Don't forget to get the upgrade, by the way, the Napalm Overload in the Fusion Core. It doesn't seem to be particularly amazing, but whenever we need to, it's gonna be a good idea. Alright, so now that I've got some extra minerals, right, I queue up more Hellions, Hellbats, and Reapers whenever I want to. Depending on which units I'm getting in a mission, I will also be getting myself the upgrades right here in the engineering base. So that's really our second step right here in this plan. Once again, I got some of those precision strikes available. I believe I built all 10 of them. So it's time to go ahead and continue onwards with more and more of those units. Now, if you're going up against a lot of air-based units, you would actually be getting more and more Reapers. I think in this case, I'm probably going to be better off just simply getting myself all of these Hellion Hellbat upgrades instead. And indeed, I am queuing them up. Technically speaking, maybe not the most efficient way of playing, but you know what? This is co-op. We can take it easy most of the time and still be in a very good position. So far, right, I really haven't focused on any of, you know, Horner's units other than like a handful of Ravens. The Ravens are fine and they're very strong, but most of the time you're going to be better off just not getting all too many of them in the earlier part of the game. Once again, sending in the space station relocation, using it primarily on cooldown here to make sure that we're going to be fine. Sending in more and more of those units right here as well. And once again, I got some extra minerals, so I am using those to my advantage. Actually, they're currently overloading this objective point right over here as well. It is important that you keep your Assault Galleons alive, because they are essentially your only proper way of, like, sending down more and more of these objectives. You can, by the way, send a Precision Strike right on top of all of these units as well, which is very nice. But anyways, that should already be set up, most of these things. So right now, that I've got most of the upgrades already coming in, right? And I've got most of the upgrades done. This is when we're going to be switching into Starport-based units. So whenever I've got leftover minerals, I'm spending them on Hellions and Hellbats. Whenever I've got leftover gas, that's when I'm going to be switching into more and more Starport-based units. It is important that you get yourself the Starport upgrades right here as well. So on this particular mission, I think Raids and then also the Vikings are going to be great. So I'm just simply going to set those up right here to my advantage, and we're going to be able to grab the next objective point as well. So already, we're getting to a point where we are, you know, getting close to winning this mission. Only just now is when I'm switching into those Starport-based units. And on some maps, like for example the side of Amon, it may be useful to get this a little bit faster. On some maps, you may be able to push to the late game a little bit longer as well. Doesn't really matter all too much. But you want to be spending your minerals as efficiently as you can while saving up more and more gas. So right now that I've got, once again, my cooldown available, I'm going to use it. I'm going to be sending in my strikers right now as well, dealing damage right there to the Xel'Naga construct. And you can see that we are absolutely shredding this objective here. We're absolutely murdering it. Only armory, or only a single armory here upgrading. We're getting more and more of these units out as well. And with that, we've done the bonus objective in just a matter of seconds. Now I think we're going to have to spend a little bit of time here defending as well, because there are indeed a lot of units coming in. One thing that you can indeed be a little bit worried for is that sometimes your units will not be coming out fast enough. So your only real way of reinforcing an army quickly is by either, you know, transforming your Hellbats into Hellions and dealing some damage that way. But most of the time, if you have the resources available, it's probably easier to just simply, well, throw in some of these mines defensively and, you know, just simply know for a fact where you're going to have to defend later on before you're going to be in this situation. So once again, right, I'm going to be getting myself some Vikings here as well. The Vikings are wonderful when you land them. They deal a lot of damage. If you're going up against a ground-based army, you can obviously land them just fine. Plus, they make this beautiful little animation after you upgrade them. Actually, apparently the upgrade is not quite done just yet. They deal a lot of damage as well in their ground-based form, though. But with that, it is time to push into the next objective point. Once again, sending in my strike fighters. And we are going to be able to crush this objective point right here, too. Just simply dealing damage to whatever is nearby. Getting ravens whenever I need to. And in this position as well, I think it's a good idea to put it into that stasis mode as well to provide that more damage, or that much more damage output. But you can see, right, with the focus on upgrades in the earlier part of the game and getting ourselves that economy rather early here as well, we're transitioning towards a late game army that is very, very powerful, and that is indeed gonna max out on primarily Horner's units, but we're not really getting them until we get all of those cooldowns out. I think that the cooldowns are gonna be the top priority here in the vast majority of the instances. And here we go. We're already on the 5th objective points right here as well, and this is by no stretch the easiest map, I don't think. I don't think anyone considers to be a super easy map. And I'm just simply pushing onwards. And by the way, when it comes to my production, and that's something to note as well, I am just simply using the All Army hotkey. The All Army hotkey is something you can set up. Default is F2. But I can just simply produce very easily because the Assault Galleons are indeed attacking units, thus they show up right here at the very front. So getting your Assault Galleons upgraded, getting your economy up and running, and then all of the upgrades, including the Precision Strike, is going to carry you to the victory very, very easily. And with that, we have once again obtained the victory. I want to send in some more of these. Ah, we don't get to see him.
Locks have been activated. Amon will be unable to bypass them again. Well done, commanders.
And there we have it.
Ulnar is saved.
The brutal difficulty completed in just a matter of minutes. A solid amount of damage was indeed dealt right there. Well played too by my ally. I ended up killing 451 units and structures there in total. Impressively enough, Elaser actually ended up killing 208 with a level 1 Stukov, so really well done right there. But you can definitely see that Han and Horner are more than capable of carrying your allies to the victory if you are indeed playing it well. And there we have it, my guide to playing Han and Horner in StarCraft 2. If you're new to the channel and you haven't just yet, do make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you get a notification whenever my daily YouTube videos go live. Other than that, I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters for making this channel happen. You guys are freaking awesome. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.